this is Ashley with Ashley Says So, and I am back with another old Hollywood scandal video. And first of all, Miss Karen, thank you so much for your purchase of my gift off of the Amazon wish list. And yes, ma'am, I saw your note. And yes, ma'am, it does make my life easier. Secondly, everybody, don't forget that there is merch on the Ashley Says So website. And thirdly, let's get into our video about Miss Carol Speed, honey. Carol was a very talented, very beautiful young black actress who was on her way up the Hollywood ladder, and then suddenly she just poof, just disappeared without a trace. Let's go ahead and put the pieces together and figure out what caused the downfall of Miss Carol Speed. And y'all already know, it's just a scandalous thing, child. Let's get to it. I'm not sure what's true or false in this video. I take gossip and tea and scandal from online, from books, from magazine, from word of mouth, and I ball it all up and I tell you guys a story. The whole video is for entertainment purposes. I have done my research. Make sure you do yours. Now, let's get to the video. Carolyn Ann Stewart, aka Carol Speed, was born March the 14th, 1945 in Bakersfield, California. Her mother's name was Cora Valerie Stewart and her father's name was Freddie Lee Stewart. And along with Carol, the Stewarts were said to have had at least 3 more children. And all of these children, along with the Stewarts themselves, were said to have lived wealthy. And so back to Carol, she was brought up in immense comfort, you know, and she also was able to match the prosperity of the white children that she lived around, especially when the family moved to San Jose, California. Gossip claims it was here that Carol decided that she wanted to go into acting at 12 years old, and she immediately snagged her first role in a big production of The King and I. And it was also around this time, 12, 13 years old, that she started a music group with 2 of her cousins. And so as you can see, Carol was definitely a child that was brought up believing that she could do anything. The folks say that she went to a school that was majority white, and Carol quickly became the most popular girl in school. She was voted best all around of her senior class. She even was the homecoming queen, the first black girl to do it in her whole county. So Carol was pretty much a star. You know, everybody told her so. She always excelled at everything. Whatever she wanted, she did. And on one side, this was a great thing, but on the other side, this type of behavior or achievements caused a really big ego boost. You know, you sometimes start to expect people to just give way and almost worship you or admire you. And so sometimes when that admiration diminishes, things can go bad because that person's mental state possibly can't handle it. And this may be what happened to Carol Speed later on in life. But to finish talking about her early years, after she graduated high school, she began singing background for singer Bobby Gentry. And for a second there, you know, she was in limbo. She didn't know whether she wanted to sing or act. And then suddenly she decided she wanted to be an actress. So Carol hit the ground running, baby. I'm talking about she didn't take no acting classes. She didn't try to get an agent. She didn't do anything. She basically just hit the ground running, going up to the studios, telling them, hey, I want to act. What can I do? And I kid you not, guys, it was almost like Hollywood had been waiting for Carol Speed to show up. Her very first role of doing anything was on the hit show Julia. And yes, her role was kind of minor, which was the character Clara Dorman, but still, your first time acting and you book a show like Julia? And after Carol booked Julia, the roles just kept coming, honey. She also had a role in Days of Our Lives. She appeared in The Psychiatrist. One role that a lot of you may know her from was when she appeared in Sanford and Son, and she left Lamont at the altar, remember? And that's just some of them. She was in a multitude of commercials, and she made a seamless transition from TV to film, with her first ever movie being called The New Centurion. And Carol showed out in that role. Her ability to play a grimy prostitute led directly to her being cast in the next movie she got, which was a movie called The Big Birdcage, where she starred alongside Pam Grier. And baby, when I tell you Carol couldn't stand Pam Grier, baby, I mean she couldn't stand her. The folks say that she spread rumors that Pam Grier treated her and the other black actresses like they were beneath her, said that all of the other black actresses would all get together, hang out, have fun, and Pam would never hang with them, but she was always up to hang with the white actresses. And then she did a lot of insinuating, basically saying that Pam Grier was messing around with the actor Sid Haig that starred in the movie. And baby, these are just some of the things she said about Pam Grier. Trust me, as we get deeper into the video, there is plenty more. So after this movie, The Big Birdcage, Carol is on the up. The Hollywood media machine agrees with her, and so slowly but surely they start to push Carol out front. She appears in several magazines. They start to rant and rave about her beautiful face, her fabulous figure. They opine that her acting talent is just amazing. They're coaxing the public to fall in love with her like they've done with every star since and before. And so it's very clear that Carol Speed was poised to become one of the next or the next big black Hollywood actress of the 70s. But after her next movie, for some reason, things just started to go wrong. And that next movie was a movie called The Mack. And it's crazy because the role that Carol snagged, which was the role of Lulu, truly was the role of a lifetime for somebody in her position. She was Lulu, the one hoe in the movie that everybody felt sorry for. Especially on her main scene when she had her eyes full of tears begging Goldie to be her pimp. All the while Goldie is telling her, well man, why do you want to go in this direction? I've always thought of you as being a big-time lawyer or a hotshot nurse. And Carol, or aka Lulu, breaks down even further and she tells Goldie, hey man, dig this. It might have been that way if I was white. That might have been cool, man. But I'm a black girl out here. They ain't jiving with me like that. It was a really sad moment, a really sad role, because that probably was the reality for a lot of black women, especially in big cities back then. And then when her storyline came back around and did the full circle moment when Goldie, the man she had been begging earlier in the movie to be her pimp, and the man who had been trying to divert her from that lifestyle, now was shown on the screen slapping her down viciously because she didn't have his money. So her role was so important that it was really needed to even show the evolution of Goldie's role, the star's role. But even more than that, she had the distinction of being the woman who was on the screen with Goldie when the song I Choose You came on. And that's one of the biggest things. That is huge. That is brilliant. Anybody in any timeline at any place, when they hear this song, if they have seen The Mack, they will think of Carol Speed. It was just publicity you could not buy, guys. And, it may not mean much to you guys. I don't know if y'all are pumped up like I am, but when it comes to acting and in Hollywood, this is huge. As a matter of fact, and it's the last thing I'm mentioning, let me give a testament just how embedded her role was into people's brains. Her role, Lulu, her character, was the one that Gina was referring back to on that episode of Martin, when Gina was sitting up there like, I need a man. I want a man. So that's what I'm saying. This lady had not even been really acting for a full year and a half and already had a building block that was just huge. And maybe if this was the only thing that happened for Carol when it comes to the movie The Mack, maybe everything in the rest of her life would have went fine and just like she wanted it to go. But unfortunately, there was something else happening on The Mack simultaneously, and this right here was taking place behind the scenes. And what was happening behind the scenes were the fabulous Ward brothers. 5 brothers: Drew, Charles, Willie, Frank, and Ted, and allegedly all of these brothers, especially Frank and Ted, were the epitome of macking. They were the epitome of pimping. In fact, the movie The Mack is alleged to be based on the experiences of the Ward brothers. Some people even go as far to say that the Ward brothers are the ones that financed the whole movie. But of course, that right there is its own deep dive, and we're not going to do that right now. But we are going to do a semi-deep dive on one of them. The illustrious, Macktastic Frank Ward. All y'all doggone wigs would be snatched back if that man walked in the room. He said that he was so smooth the women couldn't resist him. Not just the women, the cameras on the movie The Mack couldn't even resist him. He that high yellow one doing the most every time the camera passed him by. So rumor has it, Carol came to the set of The Mack all professional and ready to work, and would even sometimes bring her boyfriend up to the set. But then Frank smiled in Carol's direction. From that moment on, Carol was crazy over Frank. Baby, she was leaving the set with him every single day. Gossip claims that she even started to talk about kicking her boyfriend out of her apartment so she can make room for Frank to move in. Carol had fallen under Frank's spell, and this started to worry other cast members of the Mack. If she was to fall up under his spell and start going to turn tricks for this dude, then how are they gonna finish the movie? And y'all might think I'm talking far-fetched. Baby, I am not. Max Julien even put out a statement saying that he was scared that Frank was basically going to turn Carol Speed into a prostitute. So Carol is with Frank. But on October the 9th, 1972, at around 3 o'clock in the morning, Frank ended up going to a nightclub called the Chicken Box. While he was sitting in the parking lot talking to several friends, a woman by the name of Blanche pulled up. I don't know if she was one of his many girlfriends or one of his girls that was on the stroll or one of his boosters, because he had those ladies that stole from him. But whatever the case, he allegedly left his car at the club and he got inside of the car with Blanche and they drove off. Well, around 4:30 a.m., Blanche and Frank were parked on the side of a curb in a neighborhood and a car pulled up beside them. The folks say that somebody got out of that car, went straight up to Frank's side, which I'm supposing was the passenger side, pulled out a gun and put it to the back of his head or right behind his ear like that, and they pulled the trigger. After they shot Frank dead, they then turned the gun on Blanche and they shot her in the head also. However, Blanche did not die straight off. After the guy jumped back in the car and drove off, Blanche actually got out of the car and she ran up to the person's house, whosever house that was, and she banged on the door asking them to get help. They did get help, and Blanche ended up passing away in an ambulance on her way to the hospital. Now, of course, news spread of Frank and Blanche's murder like wildfire. And that's when people started to feel like it was Huey P. Newton, the leader of the Black Panthers, who put a hit out on Frank and had him murdered. Some people claim it was because the Black Panthers did not like the pimping lifestyle. You know, they didn't feel like these guys should be doing this to Black women. And then another rumor says that Huey P. Newton killed Frank because allegedly Frank owed him a large sum of money and Frank would not pay it. I have no idea what the reason was, but the man was dead and at the early age of only 32 years old. And the folks say his death just about broke Carol in half. She went absolutely berserk, so much so that she had a nervous breakdown. And at first, it really wasn't affecting her career. I mean, Carol honestly just kept on climbing after the Mack. She ended up getting a role in a movie called The Black Samson. She also ended up getting a role in a movie called The Dynamite Brothers. But her next movie was supposed to make her a superstar. And this movie was called Abby.
Now the fun starts.
Grab her! Hold her! Hear me, demon. Leave this woman's body!
Baby, I don't know if y'all laughed at that part, but that part took me out, honey. So anyway, the movie did get completed and Carol and everybody else were excited for the movie to release because it was supposed to be a huge box office hit. And when the movie was released, it did do very well. But unfortunately, that was only for about 2 weeks before the whole movie was pulled from theaters and everywhere else because the movie was sued by the creators of The Exorcist, who basically said that the movie Abby was just a copy and a remake of their movie. So this was a major blow for Carol Speed. This was something that she was really looking forward to, the thing that was supposed to make her a star. And with that being snatched away from her, and also with the stuff that happened to her a year before with Frank Ward and her mental breakdown, Carol just did not know how to deal with this stress. Everything in her life had always come very easy to her. Well, now things were getting challenging. So gossip claims Carol was upset that other people's careers were still going well, and so Carol decided to blow everybody's hair back, baby. And that is when she decided to write a tell-all book about the comings and goings of Black Hollywood. And the book was called Inside Black Hollywood. Now, when Carol first came up with the idea to start writing the book, she was dating Diane Carroll's ex-husband, Monty K, and he was telling Carol that it's just not a good thing to do. And she broke up with him. Richard Pryor was so nervous about what she was going to say about him that he invited Carol to his house, and he and Rosalind Cash allegedly both tried to talk Carol out of writing the book. And gossip claims that Carol told them that they could stick it where the sun don't shine because she had a right to talk and tell her story just like everybody else. And honey, I tried my best to get a copy of this book. In fact, there was only one copy that I found that was available, and that was somebody selling it on eBay for $190 that I just was not willing to pay at this. But even though I was not able to get the full book, there are several snippets online of some of the things that Carol was talking about. And even though she used aliases and changed people's names in this doggone book, baby, everybody knew exactly who she was talking about. And one of the first people she was alleged to go after was actor Max Julien, but gossip claims that she called him Henry in her book. And the folks say that she was saying Max was a narcissistic, arrogant asshole, and said that during the whole time on the Mack, he was trying to get her fired because he was upset that his girlfriend Vanetta McGee wasn't cast in the Lulu role. Rumor has it she also had a few choice words for his girlfriend Vanetta McGee. Gossip claims that she implied that Vanetta McGee was a bitch, that Vanetta McGee was stuck up and she was ditzy, and that Vanetta McGee could not get a role if her life depended on it. Basically, she made it seem like in order for Vanetta McGee to snag any roles, Max Julien had to kind of go to bat for her. Ooh, then child, gossip claims that she had a character in the book named Tanya, but this character was based on Anna Zett Chase. And baby, don't you know that she implied that Anna Zett Chase slept with one of them doggone directors, or maybe even two of those directors, to get a role in the Mack? Baby then went further to say that Anna Zett was looking stupid when the movie The Mack actually came out, and she found out that most of her role was on the chopping block. Like the part of her on screen was very, very small. Then Carol went on to say that everybody on the set of the movie The Mack did drugs, including her. Baby, she said it was so much powder around that every time somebody said action, everybody had to kind of pat their nose just to get the white off of it. Then they say she told a story about her and Anna Zett Chase sitting in a room with Richard Pryor. They were all snorting, they were all getting high, and then she said Richard Pryor jumped up and was like, I want to kill somebody. I'm finna kill somebody. And so she was like, her and Anna Zett took off running out of the room. Baby, why she said she looked back and Richard was running after them, but instead of getting them, he ran past them and ran up to the director, Michael Campus, and punched Michael Campus in the face, knocking him out cold. The folks say all the bodyguards on the set of the Mack came running in, and you know they pulled Richard Pryor off of Michael Campus, but later on that night, Richard Pryor was still high because he never stopped snorting. So this man ended up finding the hotel that the producer of the Mack was staying in, a man by the name of Harvey Bernhard. Richard broke into this man's hotel room and started hitting this man across the belly with a metal rod that he had stuffed in a sock. And these are just some of the stories. Like I said, this is a small snippet. Allegedly, she said that Pam Grier slept around with a group of men who were of a certain ethnic group. And these men were supposed to pay Pam Grier a large sum of money, but after they got through with her, they threw her a $5 bill. So anyway, Carol is sitting around spitefully writing this book. Everybody is finding out about it all over Hollywood, so other black actors don't want to work with her anymore. So casting directors stopped casting her. And so in her quest to get back at people, now she was messing her career up even more. And because her career was messing up even more, she was starting to get more and more depressed, and she started to delve more and more into drugs. She also started to party a whole lot and spend money that she did not have. I'll tell you how bad things got for Carol. Her last movie, Abby, was in 1974. From 1974 all the way until 1979, that is 5 years, Carol didn't have any work. And it really seemed like the movie that she got in 1979 was just somebody kind of trying to throw her a little bone. It was really, really a horrible time for Carol Speed. And right after that movie that she made in 1979, she ended up leaving Hollywood and going to live with Sly Stone. Carol stayed with Sly for at least 3 years before she decided to move away and clean herself up, and get her life back together. But unfortunately for Carol, people hadn't forgot about her book, and also she had been gone away from the screen for too long. So she was not able to retain the acting career that she used to have. I mean, she did get roles throughout the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s, but these were very small roles with a few lines, or sometimes she wouldn't have any lines at all. And nobody knows for sure, or nobody that I found knows for sure, if Carol ended up suffering another mental breakdown, but a lot of people speculate that she did, because in the early 2000s, rumor has it that Carol started to speak nonsense. They said that she no longer claimed her mother or her father or even any of her siblings. You know, she started to say that she was born in Germany and her father was Dwight Eisenhower, the president Dwight Eisenhower. Some people even said she claimed she was a German princess. Gossip claims that she started to tell people that she lived with Marvin Gaye for a while, and actually she helped Marvin Gaye write the song Sexual Healing. She said that she ended up winning a Grammy for writing Sexual Healing. You know, she just started saying a lot of bizarre things. And rumor has it, it was while Carol was in this mind frame that Quentin Tarantino had actually reached out to her to be a part of his Jackie Brown movie. But I think that he saw that Carol may have not been all that well, and also I think Carol was upset that Pam Grier was once again had booked the lead role over her. So Quentin Tarantino ended up dropping her from the project. She ended up opening a Twitter account, and not only that, she ended up opening an account on a website called The Author's Den to post even more bizarre things, like saying the actor D'Urville Martin was murdered when it's alleged he died of a heart attack. She also could not stand Spike Lee. I think she also said something about Nancy Pelosi maybe stalking her, or Nancy Pelosi blocking her from getting emails, something about government agents coming inside of her house, and I also think she thought people were spying on her. So I don't know, you know, I can't name everything here, but on her Twitter account, there are so many posts with so many things that Carol said. And it actually appeared that she posted on Twitter all the way up until the year 2014, when she suddenly dropped out of sight. And maybe some family and friends stepped in and started to get her help. You know, I don't know, but it does seem like she started to have a psychological mental problem. Since Carol Speed kind of dropped out of the public eye, I couldn't find any more trace to her. The only thing that is left to say is I believe she was alleged to have had one son, but unfortunately it seems like he passed away before she passed away. In the 90s, she ended up moving to Atlanta, Georgia, which is where she stayed for several years until she ended up moving to Muskogee, Oklahoma, where she ended up passing away on January the 14th, 2022 at the age of 76 years old. And you know what's crazy about this? She actually passed away 13 days after one of her arch nemesis. It was Max Julien. He passed away on January the 1st, 2022. So Carol Speed's story was definitely kind of strange, but I do think it kind of puts to rest some of the conspiracy theories. I know one of them was the theory that she ended up writing that tell-all book and then somebody did something to her, basically to mess up her mental. And then the other theory was that making the movie Abby, since it was so demonic, that is what messed up her mental health. But like I said, after researching and digging, it really just seems like the problem of her mental health just progressed with age. So anyways, guys, this is the old Hollywood scandalous tale of Miss Carol Speed. If you guys like the video, please like the video. If you guys are new here, please subscribe. If you've been sitting on the fence, please subscribe. And I got one more clip to leave with you because, baby, it tickled me. Here it goes.
Scared off by one chicken shit cop?
No way, Big Mama, you and me. Hey, just trying to help you, Abby. Come on. Come on, baby. Hey, let's go. You my kind of woman. Abby. Oh, right on. Come on, baby. Let's go.
Now, why they had that woman throwing them men all over the bar and stuff like that? Anyways, love y'all. Bye, y'all.